George, thank you for joining us on Southwest Yard and Garden.
Glad to.
George, can you tell us how people propagate raspberries and blackberries here in the Southwest?
Well, blackberries and raspberries are both propagated usually from a rooted cutting. And what I like to do is to soak the cuttings in water with a little bit of root stimulator for about 15 minutes. And this helps develop good root production. Now, before we plant, we'd like to add a little bit of compost to the soil and also some phosphorus fertilizer. This phosphorus fertilizer is going to, again, help in good root production. Then we want to turn all that under and make sure we got a nice, good, well-developed root bed. Then we want to spread the roots out of the cutting in the planting hole and cover it up with soil, and make sure that we firm the soil up around the cane and over the roots. Then we cut the cane back to no more than possibly a couple of buds and then water thoroughly. Now, raspberries, we usually recommend that we plant these things about 2 feet apart in the hedgerow. Now, raspberries can also be propagated from suckers that emerge from established plants. I like to dig the suckers up with a sharpshooter, keeping the soil ball intact. And then we take this little transplant and we can transplant it to a new bed, and then again we want to make sure we give it a good drink.
George, what varieties of raspberries do you recommend that we grow here in the Southwest?
Well, the traditional raspberry, like Latham, has what we call a biennial type of cane. Now, the cane will come up during the springtime and fully develop during the summer. This is what we call a primocane. It then has to survive the winter and will develop fruit on it the following summer. These types of canes are what we call Flora Canes. They will die and then they have to be pruned out. These canes, however, tend to break dormancy early in the springtime and are subject to winter kill. I recommend what we call an Everbearing Raspberry, varieties like Heritage, Autumn Bliss, and Red Wing. Everbearers send up a cane during the springtime and the summer and produce fruit on the terminal end of the cane during the fall of the same growing season. You don't worry about frost, and the berry is produced in the fall when it's cool, resulting in a sweeter berry. All the canes can then be removed during the wintertime.
George, are blackberries pruned in the same way as raspberries?
Well, there are no ever-bearing types of blackberries. And blackberries are also very susceptible to cold, or at least a lot more susceptible than raspberries. So what I like to do is train them to a west wall so it gives them a little bit, it acts like a big heat sink to help protect these canes from the cold. Canes that produced fruit last summer die and should be removed during the wintertime. New canes from last year should be cut back, forcing energy in the root system into producing larger berries. Most blackberries should be trained to some type of a trellis. For more information on growing raspberries and blackberries in New Mexico, look for these publications at your local county extension office.